Alexa, bedroom 100%.
Sorry about that, guys. I was logged into another meeting by accident. I didn't know I had that ability.
That's all right.
Yeah. You're muted.
Don't let it happen again.
Good morning.
Oh, it'll happen again. Over and over again. So how's everybody doing today?
Doing great.
Good.
Good?
Doing
Now you're muted out, bud. For some reason.
We do that on
We have
purpose.
Alan today that is with us. He's in the screen if you guys can see him. He's going to be helping out today with some of the electrical stuff. Good morning, St. George. Nice to see you guys today. We have a bunch of guys that will get through this. Jim, you got anything to add?
Nope, let's get it rolling.
Okay. Everybody can see the screen right here with the basic electricity?
No,
No?
I see you.
Well, that's not
I
good.
see his house pretty
Hold
fake.
on. How about now?
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Got it.
Getting the kinks worked out. We'll get there. So today's course is basic electricity. Don't mind the date. That's when Jim wrote this, so everything is still current. Find out why there we go. When you've completed the session, you'll be able to identify the electrical measuring instruments used in HVAC refrigeration work and describe their uses. You'll be able to describe how voltage is measured, describe how current is measured, describe how resistance is measured, identify electrical components used in HVACR systems, describe their functions, identify and describe various load devices and explain how they are represented on a circuit diagram. This is good for me because I have forgotten a lot of stuff. And I think when we go through these training classes, even though for a lot of you it could be a journeyman thing, there's still some refresher built in. Did that go too fast? No? Good. We have multimeters, also known as a volt ohm milliammeter. Good to see that Fluke is on there instead of some field piece stuff. Thank you, Jim, for putting in the Flukes. Obviously, these changed a little bit over the years. Now we've got some different stuff. We've got clamp-ons, and we even have the new, I think it's, Jim, is it right, the Fluke T6, that we can read current, volts, and amps without even touching the wire.
That's correct. You can put it right in the amp clamp.
Yeah, it's a fantastic tool. So if you guys are looking at something that you want to read volts and amps and not even have to use your test probes, Fluke makes a new model. I think it's maybe the T5 or the T6. I'm not sure, but definitely some cool stuff on the market.
It's the T6 1000.
There you go.
It'll only read, if the wire gauge is too heavy, it won't read it.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that something that you've been working with?
Yeah, I have one.
Awesome.
I've got one also. That's correct. So if you're getting into the bigger stuff, you still got to use a clamp or a rope amp meter.
Okay. I'm probably not a fan of it. Do you really like yours?
Yeah, for the smaller stuff, makes it real quick. You know, you don't have to strip back wire or finagle the probes into, you know, into the Molex plugs or anything.
Like on a market case, I would assume it would be great down in the kick panel. Awesome.
I would think you would like it, Mike, for the AC troubleshooting when you're getting into those controls and stuff. It comes in handy when you've got a rat's nest in there and you're trying to find out where the break is.
I tried to get Fluke to give me one, but they said no. It really, definitely probably need to invest in one. The voltmeter must be connected in parallel across the component or circuit being measured. Here's a clamp on ammeter. What is that window? Okay. Clamp on ammeter. You can see the conductors wrapped around here. Back in the old days, really old days, we had to wrap these around 10 times in order to set our heat anticipators on a thermostat. We don't have to do that anymore with new digital thermostats. On the electrical side, do you have to do that anymore, Al?
No.
Okay. I just was trying to figure out any way to hear your beautiful voice at 7:10 this morning. Never measure resistance in a live energized circuit. The voltage present in a live circuit may permanently damage the meter. Higher quality meters are equipped with a fuse or circuit breaker to protect the meter if this occurs. Has anybody ever blown a meter? I mean, have they really blown out a meter?
Chris Syra, who works for us, has blown one up. He hooked it up to 10,000 volts and it disintegrated in his hands.
Was there like a safety factor? Or did he have high voltage gloves or anything? Nothing?
He's a little older, so
Yeah,
he was in the hospital for a while.
Yeah, the safety was his gloves, because it literally blew the meter to pieces.
Wow. No arc flash or problem in the face or nothing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's definitely something for the younger guys that are listening to think about, the fact that there's an older tech out there, and even with all the safety gear, you can get injured. So really always think about it. Also, a circuit in parallel with the circuit you are testing can provide a current path that will make it appear as though the circuit you are testing is good, even though when it is not. The way to avoid this problem is to isolate any single device being tested from the rest of the circuit by physically disconnecting it. Continuity tester. Anybody use these? Nobody?
Not one like that.
What is that?
I don't know.
That looks like the thing that you use to test your fuses on your car.
Yeah.
I think the closest is, Al, you might like this. I actually found a Wiggy for sale and bought a Wiggy for $20. So they're not used anymore. Do you use yours, Al? Do you even have one?
No.
I used to use these, but the little red light comes on and it actually shakes in your hand. It's a pretty cool little tool. Megometers are used in the HVAC industry, or megers, special meters to read high resistance values in megohms. They apply a high DC voltage to the circuit. You can test compressor windings when electrically isolated from all other components. A reading over 100 megohms usually indicates a sound circuit free of contamination. Is Julian with us this morning?
I am.
Yeah, have you used a megger?
I have.
And how does it work?
Hook one up, one lead to the chassis, and then the other one to the wire. And you send the signal through it, and it sends that, like you said, like 10,000 volts through it. And it checks the continuity or the resistance, I guess, of the wire, the integrity of the wire, and let you know if the insulation's gone bad or if you need to replace it or not.
Awesome. So did it save the troubleshooting time and maybe create?
Oh, absolutely. We had this bank of 4 evaporator fan motors that just kept tripping the breaker randomly, and I couldn't figure it out. I went through, ohmed out everything with my meter, and everything ohmed out good with my meter. And finally I said, you know what, I'm gonna go buy a mega ohm meter, and went and grabbed one of those, picked up, it's a Subco is the one I picked up.
Right.
And started checking everything, and came across one evaporator fan motor that failed the insulation test, and replaced the motor and never went back.
Awesome. So then the mayor really sounds like it saved some diagnostics and gave you a better troubleshooting call.
Oh, absolutely. Because I couldn't tell with the windings, the integrity of the windings with a regular meter and just regular ohming it out. It was under load. And after they had been working for a while and started heating up is when it was tripping.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate
Yep, no worries.
Here we have, and honestly, I forgot a lot of this, shaded pole motor, a permanent split capacitor, PSC motor. I don't work with these much anymore. A PSC multi-speed motor. They're out there. I think they're out there more common. I just don't see them in my day-to-day anymore. Electric heaters may appear the same as a resistor on a circuit diagram. I think the state, like Arizona, we can use strip heaters. In California, you cannot as a primary heat. A lot of strip heaters out there.
I don't see many of them around here.
No?
No,
What
mainly
about-
on like the garage heaters and stuff.
What about on the hot side of the non-mechanical side? You know, that's a toaster. It could be used as a warmer, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
And it tests the same.
Absolutely.
There you go. A test instrument used, an ammeter is a test instrument used to measure current flow. Clamp-on ammeter is an ammeter with operable jaws that are placed around a conductor to sense the magnitude of the current flow. An inline ammeter is a current reading meter that is connected in series with the circuit under test. Has anybody used an inline ammeter?
Yes.
Where would we see that?
When you're testing current at different times, so when you put it into the circuit so that you can, a lot of times the power companies will put them on in line and keep them there to record so that they know what the amperage is going when it's going up and down. If you're having issues with it tripping inadvertently or problems with the circuit, they'll put one in line and they'll monitor it to make sure to see when the problem's occurring and how it's occurring.
I've never seen one. I've only used a clamp on or like the open jaws, but I've never seen one.
They're really expensive.
Are they?
Yeah. We have one in the company.
Can we play with it in Phoenix?
No, you can't have
You can't. Okay. Looks like vacation in Salt Lake City, so I can play with it. Wrap-up terms: a multimeter is a test instrument capable of reading voltage, current, and resistance, also known as a volt-ohm millimeter. Anybody using the multimeters? And if so, what is your favorite? Anybody have a favorite?
My new favorite is I just bought a Testo because it Bluetooths with my phone. And so I can set it like my amp clamp on, whatever, say I'm amping something out, I can walk away and still watch it.
So hold on a second, because I've got something I might want to send you. What, the gentleman that was speaking, what is your email?
D Pinkerton at corerefrigeration.com.
D Pinkerton.
Hey, Donnie.
Yeah.
Core. Okay. I just got a thing from Testo, a questionnaire about some of their new products. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
You probably would be a good one to fill it out. Okay.
Okay.
Multimeter is what you guys all probably have because it does everything.
Right. You know, for me, I use the Fluke multimeter, the T6, the older T6. I really like it. Or back when I started in the trade, well, it's actually not really the truth. I'll show you a different one. Or you have the Wiggy. You know, this is actually not really a multimeter. It's more of just a voltmeter. That's down here at the bottom. An ohmmeter is an electric test instrument designed to measure the resistance or impedance of an electrical device or circuit, also known for simple purposes of determining determining if a circuit is continuous or has continuity. Any favorite ohm meters? Nothing from you, Al?
I just use it with my multimeter, but ohmmeter is the best way to test it, guys, because you can kill the power. You can do a lot of your testing on a circuit or on a device when the power is off just by using your ohm meter, just making sure that everything works the way it should before you turn the power on. So one of your best practices should be is to turn the circuit off, make sure you're ohming out correctly the way that the circuit functions, and then turn the power on and do it with the power on, because it's always safer to test with the power off. You can't test everything with the power off, but do as much as you can without that circuit energized.
The basic understanding for ohms is if you're dealing with a switch or a load, guys. So when you're ohming a load, you should see resistance values there. So depending on the state of the switch is what your ohm meter will read. So I know when guys start up using their ohm meters, it's understanding the difference between ohming a switch and ohming a load.
And you can use ohm in your daily life with yoga by closing your fingers like this and saying ohm.
Best way to do it.
Exactly, ohm.
Well,
Okay.
and remember, guys, too, a lot of times people will think that a circuit is bad because they're getting resistance, like Jim's saying. You're going to get resistance across heaters. You're going to get resistance across a lot of your loads. So you need to know what, if there's a measurement there, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It just means that there is going to be some sort of resistance across that load.
And then it looks like we're wrapping up that a voltmeter is a test instrument used to measure the potential difference or voltage between 2 points. For me, when I started in the trade, this is what I had. This is a joke, it's not true. But I actually collect tools, and this is a solid mahogany voltmeter. So if you guys have ever seen anything this big, it's pretty cool. But in the back of it, back in the old days, the technician that had this actually wrote down all the voltmeters and the ohms for each individual load that he was testing. Well, this is just a sample of what they used to carry back in the 1950s. This weighs about 25 pounds.
You would put that on your dinosaur and go to work.
Well, you and I, bud. You and I.
It sits right next to your dial-a-charge.
If I could buy a dial-a-charge, Jim, I'm looking to buy one. You got one for me?
I have one in Salt Lake, Mike.
You want to sell it?
No, I don't want to sell it.
Well, I'm sure you can find
You
one.
can come look at that when you look at all these other things we've got. We've got a
Oh
lot
my
of old
God.
stuff. Like,
Jim, Christmas is around the corner. Santa Jim.
Is that the one we used to have in St. George, Jim? I was wondering where it went.
yeah, I always gank anything that I see that's old that is collecting dust in the corner because I like that old stuff. It cracks
Looks
me up.
like I'm ending up in Jim's office.
$50 on eBay.
There you go.
Okay. Let's see if this is it. Any questions? This was a short one.
A couple things, guys, just when you're using your multimeter on refrigeration applications. So when you guys, a lot of guys are mistaken on, when you're setting up a crank pressure regulator, what do you got? What instrument would you be using electrically to check that? Does anybody know that?
Hey, what?
It's a common, a crank pressure regulator. When you're setting that up on the crankcase of a compressor, you're going to use your electrical meter. Does anybody know what that would be used for?
A regulator? Is it an open and close? I would assume it would be an ohmmeter, right?
Wouldn't it be your amps?
It's going to be your amps, yeah, and you're going to test that compressor coming out of defrost.
Oh.
So what I want you guys to understand is like, so yesterday, just in basic belt changing and stuff, are you guys clamping up to the motor and check and adjusting your belt off of your amps with the cabinet door closed? Anybody do that? Best practice?
Most do it with it open, and it's a different reading with it closed.
Yeah, you should try to grab onto those wires probably at the contactor with it closed, so you know what it is coming across that coil under load. So just really understand when you're using your multimeter, you should have your multimeter out on every job. So we're always dealing with loads. More than 70% of our troubleshooting is electrical. So when you guys get out there, on the beginner's class, if we want to cover like the different settings on your multimeters, we can do a multimeter class. But if you're within your first year or second year of doing troubleshooting, guys, you guys should be taking your 6-in-1 and your multimeter and your temperature probe and a couple other tools in with you just to tech method that troubleshooting phase of your service call. So just make sure you fully understand how to run a multimeter. PM guys should be using that to do their checks and balances when they're doing their tests every quarter. So if you guys don't have a good understanding of every single symbol on your multimeter, let us know. We'll take the time to come out with you, and we'll take the time to kind of go through those settings. There's nothing wrong. I know guys that have been in the business for 10, 12 years and still don't know what the upside down reverse Y means, or, you know, a couple of these different symbols so that are on their multimeter, or how to use them. So, but they're there for a reason, and we want to make sure that you guys are maximizing your troubleshooting skills in the field.
One thing I would stress to beginners is you're going out and changing out contactors and changing out, you know, different parts of your circuits. Just make sure that you're looking at the right part. Make sure when you're replacing all contactors aren't the same. You know, you'll have different coils, different voltages, different amperages. So make sure you double check those. And then one of the best practices I learned early on is to snap a picture of it before you take it apart, especially if there's a lot of wires on it. That way, when you go back to it, I know we all think we're really smart, especially me as I'm getting older. I'll forget, and I'll have to pull back that picture up and look at it. So just make sure you take the time to do it right, and make sure you're safe. The most important thing is that every single one of you guys makes it home to your family every night. So when you're working with electricity, I know we get accustomed to it, we get used to it, but just make sure you're safe. Make sure you got gloves on. You're, watching what you're doing, watching your screwdrivers, getting too close to the side of the the AC unit. There's not a whole lot of space inside those boxes, so just make sure you're using the right kind of equipment. Get insulated screwdrivers. And when you're trying to get those readings off those little screws sometimes that are close together, just be careful that you're doing it, and maybe stick a little bit of electrical tape on it, give you shorten up your lead so that you're not blowing yourself to shit.
Yeah, I've got a electrical little tip for you guys. How many guys have been having problems with the fall-out machines on the high amp lockouts, and they've been cleaning the machines and they still go out there every couple weeks on a high amp lockout?
Everybody, I'm imagining.
Too many times.
Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. I sat in a meeting with them not 3 weeks ago, and what happens when voltage drops? Amps goes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if amps goes up and it's got an amp monitor on there and it locks out on high crank amps, so Paulette hadn't even thought of this issue, but we have a couple stores that we know historically have voltage drop issues now that we can see them with the EMS. So what I would ask you guys to do is go down and buy yourself a phase monitor and then hook it up to those machines on the backside of the incoming power if you're having that lockout issue. If you know you clean those barrels, and we're having still crank lockouts, and Mavericks getting ready to change those machines out to a different brand. But if they're not, we need to know if there's a voltage drop across those. So we've had historically across the whole company a lot of this situation. So in real world applications, since we're talking about electrical, like Follett hadn't even thought of that in application because they're testing these things in the factory. And so they thought it was a cleaning thing. It's a cleaning thing. It's a cleaning thing. Well, number one, make sure the machine is clean. But then number two, let's get something on that voltage. Let's get a watchdog on it and make sure that we're not getting, a voltage drop that's raising those amps and locking that out, because that's what's happening. We found that out. I just put a couple trackers on a couple stores that we've been having historically high call volumes on, like in the 15s and 20s. Come to find out, we're getting voltage drops daily at those stores. So just a heads up for you guys, because we have a lot of those machines out there and we have Mavericks all over the company. So keep an eye out for those, especially if you're dealing with any fault anywhere and you're dealing with the Horizon series. It's an issue that we're running into, that the factory's just realizing that could be a culprit.
Awesome tip.
Great information. Thanks, Jim.
You guys have anything else? No? Well, this is a short one. I appreciate you guys being here today. As always, and Jim and Al and I, we want you guys to work safe, be safe. Sean, great seeing you again on camera. I've never seen you on camera before, but you look good.
You lie so bad.
That's not true. That is not true. I have not seen you in a little over 3 years, so it's good seeing you again.
Good to see you too, bud.
Whatever. You know what? I'm gonna end. I'm not gonna be nice anymore or anything. I'm gonna go back to being crappy to Julian. All right, guys. Have a great week, and we will see. What's that?
Thank you.
Thank you. And we see you guys next Tuesday. If you want to rewatch it, service managers, I did do this live, a recording on the cloud. Nick's going to get it out. So if your group wants to rewatch again, or you got some guys that missed it because they're on job sites, they can go watch it on the cloud.
What about last week's? I missed last week's. Is last week's out there?
It's supposed to be because Nick was recording it. But if it did not, reach out to me through email. I'll give you my email because I may not be on the core email. My email is What's that?
Give me 1 second.
Mike,
this is Nick.
shoot me an email. I'll get it to him.
Okay, that's cool.
You guys can, if you're wanting and you missed it on the service managers, keep it in mind. Reach back out to me. I'll do it at night. I'll do it in the afternoon. I'll sit down. I take my laptop home on the weekends. I'll grab a Saturday for you. It doesn't matter. If you guys know me on social media, I'm constantly doing stuff anyway. So spending another 30 minutes or so or 40 minutes with your group really doesn't matter as long as we get the training out. That's really all I care about. So I'll do these beginning sessions with your group anytime you need me to.
Perfect. Appreciate it.
You bet. You guys have a good one.
All righty. Take it easy.
All right.
Cool, dude. That's cool.
I love those classes.
Don't say anything bad because I'm still here. I'm still here, Sean.
I'm just trying to figure out how to log out of the dang. There it is.